God, look at them.
She's just sitting in the background.
Whose headphones are those? Are those your headphones?
No, wait, are they? Oh yeah, they are my headphones.
Oh, okay. I would say, when did you get headphones with the
mic?
mic? Yeah, I was like, what?
Jamie's about to play some intense gaming on that phone.
I know that, or she's gonna do her sex phone job, whatever, right now.
Sex phone job.
Sex phone job.
What are those called? What are they called?
Telemarketers?
Not
No,
telemarketers.
those are, I guess that's kind of like sex work.
Sex.
I know there's a word for it. I know they have a title.
Sex worker?
No, sex workers are
Sex line.
those are considered hookers.
A sex
Like,
worker?
yeah.
Not
those are
all
considered-
sex work is considered prostitution.
Right?
What?
Like a stripper is technically considered a sex worker.
Okay, so
Oh.
what is the classification of like the girls who like do the webcam shit?
Cam girl.
Is that still?
Yeah.
Is
It's
that still
considered sex work. It's considered sex
Yeah.
work.
yeah,
They
yeah.
call it cam
Oh,
girls.
it totally is. Is it recording already?
It probably
You
has.
pressed recording?
Just because I'm
Okay.
going to use some of this for the opening.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I didn't know. Phone sex operators.
sex
Yes,
operators,
yes,
alright,
yes.
cool.
That's what it
You
is.
got that out of the way.
Okay. All right.
Now we
So,
can actually start. They were fixing phone sex operators.
all right. Is there anything
First
that
of
needs
all,
to be
get
fixed?
First of all, get it out of there. You gotta clean your mic. You gotta clean everything. I'm just saying that sticky keyboard is not gonna fix itself.
Have you ever wondered whether it's a guy or girl on the other end? Well, let me fix that. Stop caring.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what your folks said after.
Are those even a thing still? Like,
I'm sure they're still.
they can't be that expensive anymore. Because I remember, I mean, not that I've ever tried it, but I'm sure, like, you'd always hear like the jokes were in movies and stuff that they were super expensive.
But
that
you
they
know,
would
but you
run
know
up
what
the
it
thing.
is. But you know what it is though. Phone girls. I think that's what they were called. Phone girls.
Yeah, Sure.
But I'm pretty sure phone girls are about as outdated as the newspaper is to the internet. You
I-
know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, I'm
when
assuming,
when you can stream a lady doing things,
Right.
it's
Live
yeah,
too.
live.
Yeah.
You're
I would hope-
not sitting there on
That I would know.
I would hope they made the transition. The transition
it-
into
Yeah.
the
Isn't it
transition
also-
into
Is it
cam
also
girls.
like $10 a minute or some crap like that? Like
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I was
for
saying
cam?
earlier.
Yeah.
That's not the cam. The
No.
The,
When you
phone.
call the
Because that was
phone?
not that I've ever done it before, but that was like always like the joke in like movies or things, or like that was what came with it. It's like, oh man, it's so expensive. They're gonna find out. Like
The
I
thing-
spent X amount of money on it.
The thing I never understood was like why do you call when you can watch porn?
Well,
You know
now,
what I mean? Like,
now, yes,
Yes,
that's understandable. But you gotta remember, there was a time where porn wasn't really like readily available.
that is until you tackled your dad to the ground and made him give up his stash.
I guess, or your grandpa.
Yeah, more like a grandpa.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, you gotta remember. I don't know. I feel like back then, you couldn't really. I don't know.
Hey man.
I mean, I'm pretty young. Like I wasn't around, during those times. But I feel like you can't get as much sexual interactions as you can now. You know what I mean?
No,
it's
I
got to
think
be
so.
like
Before it was chat rooms. I think chat rooms. Was
I
like
think-
the-
But even then, that's pretty. I mean, considering human history, that's pretty recent too.
I figure the way it works is that it has to be like, you know how people like are into AMSR stuff now?
What's AOMS? Oh, ASMR is what
Yeah,
you mean.
ASMR.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying though. I think that was like kind of the same gratification, but you also got to
yeah, ASMR. But for the people,
Okay, I actually don't do it
hold on.
sexually though.
Oh, but for the people listening, can you please explain? I know what it means.
Didn't we do this? Didn't we do this on the
I don't
last
know.
It's a
episode?
repeated bit. I know, but I still don't know. I still need to know what it means.
Oh, it's
Did we talk about ASMR
audio?
before?
No, it was the bit they just did.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, but for people at home listening who don't know what this is.
Oh, I get what you're
Oh
saying.
man, could you imagine like that was like a whole episode? We're just sitting there like,
I.
and now we're gonna stretch out the feathers.
Oh yeah, I don't even.
You know what I mean?
I'm not
Like-
even sure you're at what it. I'm pretty sure it picked it up. It'll just be really quiet.
But yeah, but it's always like, but it's so funny because it's like, so here's the thing too, is that like they're not. It's funny because they're not sex workers, but
Yeah.
if you, because my brother does the ASMR stuff, like he
Nice.
listens to it, helps him fall asleep,
Yeah,
whatever.
I like it too. Yeah.
But here's the thing though, is that like everybody who does it, I don't know if it's the algorithm or whatever, but like if you look at my brother's YouTube page,
Right.
like you know how it's like you're suggested for you or whatever.
Right.
It's all hot chicks. Like it's all hot chicks being like, "Oh, I'm going to tap on the mic, just click."
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
here's
yeah.
the thing though, is that because they're attractive,
Uh-huh.
they also wear like clothing.
Very skimpy clothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So I'm just like,
yes.
I'll come over and I'm like, dude,
Yes.
what is with all the porn on your fucking
Okay.
TV?
Okay. Here's the thing. And see, I don't want to get. I guess I'm gonna go a little bit political. You can edit this out or
Yeah,
not.
well, I'll figure
I don't
out-
know if you want to edit this part out or
figure
not.
out whether or not I wanna edit
But
this
see,
out.
here's the thing with it. I could care less what you're doing on those videos because of my number one rule, or one of the most important things everybody should know. If you don't like what you're watching, very simple solution.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Just change the video, change the channel. Okay. Now, with that said, there are some of these girls that do play on like sex, like to sell, because a lot of them have Patreons and stuff where you can donate money.
Sure.
And I get it. Boo boo, make your money. I don't care. If I could do that, if I could wear a low cut and make the ridiculous money they're making, I would do it in a heartbeat.
See, the only thing though is that I would only watch a video with you in it if you were like, it was like 10 tips to get like jacked. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
God.
And then you could wear low cut shirts or whatever. You're just
There you
sitting
go.
there just fucking lifting dumbbells and whatever.
Yes. Okay. See, again, if you got it, if you can get it, then get it. That's up to you. I mean, I personally don't like those kind of geared videos, because I actually do like the kind of the sounds they make, like when they have the different stuff. And actually, it's good. I prefer the male voices because it has deeper tones to them.
Right.
So I prefer that. But again, it's not that I'm like, girls, do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
You like, do it. My only problem is, and this is the part where it gets political, is when they start saying, "Oh no, everyone's over sexualizing me. Oh, this and that." I'm like, relax. You're doing it to
Hold up.
yourself.
You knew
Yes.
what you were doing.
Yes.
You knew what you signed up
Yes. I am, like what Dave Chappelle said, I am what you call a victim blamer.
He is honestly, yeah.
Yes. But that's my point. Like,
But but in my brother's defense, I
Yes.
think, because like I said, he does listen to it to help him fall asleep,
Yes.
this, that, and the third.
Yes.
Way to put your brother on blast.
Well, I was gonna say, to be fair, I think what he does is like he just kind of puts it on,
Yeah.
and then
And it's in the
falls
background
asleep to
noise.
it.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I do.
background noise.
Uh-huh.
So it's like he doesn't even know. Like the girl could be a not attractive lady, or something.
Yeah, I mean that's in anything. Like you look at even now, you look at a lot of Twitch streamers. The female ones are not they're not like over sexualized, but they're very attractive women now playing video
Yes.
games.
But-
knowing
Yes.
they're going to make money.
Yeah,
off
because of their
just as simple as
appearance.
Video games.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say though, but it still plays off, and that's something I always like got upset about, was that it's just like, it's like, if we're gonna go with the stereotyping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is a gamer girl cute or hot based on the fact that she does play video games? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she could be like, on an everyday basis, she could be a 5. But all of a sudden, we figure out she knows what the fuck Mario is, and all of a sudden she's an 8. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel
I wouldn't go that far.
like we shouldn't make that. I don't think
Yeah.
that's objective. That's subjective. That varies from person to person. I'm not
that-
gonna say like if she should be an 8 or a 5 just
Yeah,
because
I think
that's up to
I
some.
think
That's
it's more
personal
I
touch.
think it's
I just feel like a lot of people put that on gamer girls.
To answer your question, I think it's more cute than hot because a lot of them like will still wear like a beanie or a sweatshirt. They're not trying to like show off the goods. They're just like just wearing normal clothes.
Well, here's my thing though, is that like, how do you guys feel about like girls who lean too hard into the subject? You know what I mean?
What do you
Like-
mean?
Well, like, okay, so here's a great example, is that like, I used to be huge into anime. I still am, but it was always a thing where
Used
it
to
was
be anime. I can't believe I used to be in
anime. No, but the thing was that it was always like girls thought that they were, most mediocre girls who were into anime thought that it would make them cuter if they acted like the anime girls portrayed in anime, and it only just came off as annoying.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's always like the hyperactive, like, oh my god, kawaii, da 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 da, and you're just
Right.
like, oh my god, shut the fuck up.
Right. Right.
So it's just like, I feel like gamer girls kind of like, if they lean too hard into the culture, it's like, oh my god, I'm so quirky and crazy. I play video games, and they're just, and then insert GIF of hot dogs being thrown at a chick.
Oh, I mean,
Have you seen that GIF?
And we-
Yeah, I
Where it's
have.
like,
I have.
the reason I tried to switch over to the Twitch streamers because segue. We were supposed to be talking about Assassin's Creed today. If you didn't know,
We'll get there eventually.
Well, I
We'll
mean,
get there
we
eventually.
were working our way towards
I mean,
it.
sticking
Yes.
knives into things.
I don't know. I think it goes back to that same thing. Like, if a girl's too quirky or whatever, it gets annoying. It's
If
really
they
simple.
lean-
Just
if they lean
don't
too
watch the
hard into
video.
bit, if they lean too hard into the bit,
Then just don't watch the video.
no.
know what I mean?
I don't actively search these women out. They annoy the shit out of me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, likewise. It's just, but I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. It's like, yeah, just be ready for the the certain demographic of people that aren't going to enjoy your show, which in that case they should just not watch. You know what I mean?
I could see that. So,
Yeah.
I think porn.
Okay, I think we're ready for Assassin's Creed.
I think we what was it? I think by every episode we've had like one conversation to start where just nothing.
Or it's just ranting. That's
Or it's just
okay.
ranting.
We got to get warmed
Well, I
up.
mean,
we got to test out the
but
mics.
Isn't that the whole point of a podcast? Is just to
Yes.
hear an exchange of ideas.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
precisely.
go. There you go, Twitch. There's our ideas, even though we've really added nothing.
There
to
you
the
go.
Whole,
No.
Sex
I'm sure.
work.
I'm sure there's a bunch of people who are sitting there going to be like, "Damn right, those gamer girls are annoying." You
No,
know what I mean?
Excuse me.
But there's, I mean, again, people find different types of people annoying all the time. What you just do is you don't pay attention to them. That's simple.
You know what I hate?
What is it?
Is when a great gaming industry kills off the main character, and then they're just kind of left with fluff, which is exactly what happened.
And
to
Assassin's Creed.
Ah,
That was a great segue.
that was dumb. But
That was great. Okay. Anyways, today we're going to be talking
I'll make it
about
worth
the
it.
Assassin's Creed. Stick quiet. I'm trying to introduce us.
Yeah,
Fucker.
go for it.
Anyways, we're talking about the Assassin's Creed franchise, kind of where they went wrong. I guess where they went wrong a
we
bunch
kinda
of
made our
times.
point like 10 seconds ago.
Yes. We're going to try to fix it, or at least talk about different ways they can fix it, taking things out and putting things back in, or blah, blah, blah. Anyways, my name is Jose.
Jermaine.
And James.
This is the Triple J Show as of now until we get sued or we think of a more clever name.
So to all the other Triple J shows out there,
Why don't we
go
just
fuck
call ourselves
yourselves.
like Jam Cubed?
no,
Jam Cubed. I like that. And just have like a jam as our logo and then just the times 3 over it.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Do you have a better idea? Do you have a better alternative?
Okay, the first
several,
two.
but it's too late now.
Positivity and solutions.
I was gonna
That's all
say-
I want.
I was going to say, we came up with the Triple J Show. We came up with Jam Cubed. Both ideas you have constantly shot down.
Yeah.
And yet you have provided no
Right?
title. Zero input.
Actually,
Yes.
you go back and listen to the first episode I have.
What did you say?
I forgot. I
Oh,
gotta go back.
see,
That's why I
it
told you.
wasn't good enough.
Exactly.
Wasn't good enough,
It
that's
wasn't
why.
inspired.
That's why it wasn't good enough.
It wasn't interesting at all.
Just get to the point.
All right. Anyways, all right. So let's start with Assassin's Creed. So Jermaine, we're gonna say he's gonna be the J3 right now
gonna
because
be
he
J3
really
for
has.
this. I'm definitely gonna be J3 for
He
this.
literally just watched a couple of videos of the summarizing of
Now, were
Assassin's
you-
Creed
now,
before
were
we
you
started
guys
this
like-
podcast.
Now, were you guys like huge fans of the series?
I was.
You were?
He was.
I was.
Like, how blown was your mind the first time you played the first one? Because the first one,
It was great. In fact,
it's
it was,
amazing.
Yes, because and I mean, looking back on it now, it was kind
well,
of boring.
now it's dated, but
Right, but if I'm correct, it was one of the initial launch titles for the PS3, right, for the new gens.
think so?
If I don't, yeah,
No. The
No?
original launch title for the PS3 was Heavenly Sword. Which
No,
was,
but one of them. I mean, like one of
It
them
means
going
one- it was
in,
one,
like one of the
No,
first
no,
ones
it
that
was
came
like, It
out.
was like halfway into the PS3's career when
Was
Assassin's
it?
Creed came out.
Because that was 2012,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, and
No,
the PS3
no, it
came
came out
like
before.
2010. or something.
Jamie, can you? She's not really Jamie. We're just coining Joe Rogan's thing, whatever. But Monica, can you search out when the PS3 came out and when Assassin's Creed came out to see if
She's
they
gonna be like, "You're all
correspond.
morons." It came out in
I know it's
2004.
2012 because of what the video we were watching earlier.
Right,
So I know
right.
the game came out in 2012.
Okay, so my main thing is that it's just a hot mess. They put way too much information. They
Here's-
dragged it on way too much.
I think, in my personal opinion,
Mm-hmm.
free from rights and copyright and all that bull.
Right.
In my personal opinion, I feel like from the first one all the way to 2.5, because Brotherhood's really not 3, it's 2.5.
Right.
The best, like the best.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what was it? 3 is when they kill him off. Is when they kill
They call off Desmond. Yeah.
Desmond, and it was just like
Um,
it was like, how do you have a story where you killed off your main character?
You bring him back as evil.
And also,
but they didn't even do that.
But I mean, enough people have made this complaint. But like,
Right.
yeah, number 3 really didn't need to be in colonial times
No, I didn't.
because there was not enough like trees or anything. It was mostly like open battlefields.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Yeah, it was just like it was like, how can you be an assassin in the middle of a war? When it's an open field.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean?
And I see. Here's the thing. Creatively, the creator had.
They didn't even put you in the funnest battles. Like
They
put you in
didn't.
like the
They didn't.
weird. They put you in a weird
didn't.
backseat
Right.
of American history.
Right.
You could, you were kind of there for the
Right.
signing of the independence, but you weren't there for like. Oh wait, were you there for the crossing of the Delaware? with George Washington?
No, I don't think so. I don't
Yeah,
think they do
so
that.
it's like major historical points
Right.
you were not there for.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead it was just like, oh hey, check it out, you were at the Battle of Cornsmead.
I think the problem, and I mean, I can say this now because it's many years later, and they've added some new game mechanics. I think time period wise, if your imagination is big enough or creative enough, you can put it wherever you want.
Yeah, I don't think
that wasn't the problem. The problem was with the game mechanics that they had, because the game mechanics that they had established with Ezio and Altair was very sneaky and did require big city big city backgrounds.
Well, I mean, the cities themselves weren't huge. I mean, if you ever been to personally,
I'm not saying the big maps. What I'm saying is a lot of coverage, a lot of things to jump on, a lot of things to fall out. That's what I'm saying.
Because a lot of those old world cities are really condensed with cathedrals.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you bring us all the way to colonial times America, and it's just like
it's a lot of
open fields and stuff. You're just kind of like, hey.
Exactly. Based on those game mechanics. Now, with the new ones that they introduce when they go to Egypt, I forget. I think it's Origins. Assassin's Creed Origins, when they start introducing the kind of new style of
isn't it like
fighting.
Mesopotamia or something like that? Or is it?
That was after. That was the one after. You're thinking about the Greeks, right?
Yeah.
That's the one right after.
Question, did we get the date for PS3?
Oh, yeah.
November 2006.
For what?
For the PS3.
Okay,
Yeah, so
and then what about Assassin's Creed?
First release was November 2007.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a launch.
So it was
title.
so it was a year later.
It was pretty
Yeah.
close,
It was pretty early on.
Yeah,
But
I said, it wasn't a launch title. It was just
Yeah.
it was kind of like the team developed this new platform. They said check it out, and that was the thing I liked about Assassin's Creed. The first one was that was literally their launcher for the new platform that they were making for the game.
Yes.
Which is why the next series, the next iterations were so much better.
Yes.
And then they killed off the main character.
Yes.
I cannot harpoon this home fast enough. But again,
yeah, that usually does do the downfall for video games. Look, a lot of times when you kill out the main character, the game franchise goes downhill.
I even thought the same thing too. When Desmond died, I went, where are they gonna go from here?
Yeah.
And then it just feels like I heard there's like a revival, like Valhalla is really good, and like I guess like.
But see, that's what that's what the new game mechanics. But what I wish what they would have done is they should have just rebooted the series.
Right.
Because now they're trying to tie in, because they put themselves in that hole of being consistent with the story of the first ones.
Right.
And then now they're going into this one where it just gets, it's madness, absolute madness.
I was gonna say, to be fair, they didn't even like cleverly cover it up. Like after Desmond dies, they don't even do like it's his second cousin, because the whole thing is that like it's supposed to be the bloodline. Right?
Yes.
It's supposed to be like
that was the big thing. Yes.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the big thing. So it's like instead of like, killing him off and then making the next person like some nameless crusader or whatever, just make it like his second cousin or some bullshit.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
that continues. Yes, I agree, which was the big part. And Jermaine, before we were starting this podcast, he saw kind of the summaries. Okay, every summary you look, this is how complicated it gets. Even for just one like game, it like the shortest one you'll see is like an 18-minute like summary of what happened just in that one game. And if you look at the ones that are shorter, it doesn't even come close for you to even comprehend what happened.
Yeah.
So like if you see the ones that are like 5 minutes or 7 minutes long, you're going out so confused.
I followed along what was going on at the beginning. Like the first part seemed fine. The Valhalla seemed fine. It was just the middle part. I was like, huh? Like
that's how it is for most of it.
Well, because the game needs to happen.
Yes.
How do you storyline? I built a city.
Right.
How do you storyline that? You know what I mean?
I think what
look at BioShock. They did it perfectly.
I think the two.
But you didn't build anything in BioShock.
That's true.
You build a city underground. Rapture.
No, you didn't.
Sorry, I'm just looking for an excuse to.
I was
bring
like,
BioShock to this
nobody
conversation.
did.
We'll talk about at the end as far as upcoming. But anyways, I think this is the two mistakes that they made. Was one, they kind of went into that formula that a lot of people were trying to do.
Well, they knew it made money.
Yes, that's where I was going.
So they were going to slap us. They're going to slap the name on it and just be like,
one every year, and they were putting out one every year, which was just shit.
I thought that was the ridiculous part. Yeah, they never took the time. It's just like it was one of those things that was making so much money that it's like,
yes,
you're just gonna make another one. They kept the same.
Yes,
because I didn't play them a lot, but I knew the game mechanics and like the game mechanics and pretty much the story kind of followed the same formula going forward each time.
Here's another thing that bothered me was that aside from Desmond getting killed off, did we really need 3 Ezio stories?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because we had Brotherhood. We had 2.
Yes.
Then we had Brotherhood 2.5, and then we had Revelations, which was basically 2.6.
Is later is the
Yeah,
like
it's
the later in his life.
7. You know what I mean?
But this is going back to my point. Like as far as like, wow, how am I trying to say this?
I think you could have left it at Brotherhood. Give us a new hero. You know, drop
yes,
the
you
Ezio.
could have. You could have, but they did it well. That's what I was saying earlier. Is if your imagination is creative enough, you could go ahead and do it, which they did, and they did beautifully. Those 3, the trilogy of Ezio, beautifully done. Great storytelling, and just when you think that you couldn't develop that character even more, they develop him from the first one, Assassin's Creed 2, very young, and then it goes into Brotherhood, and then they even develop. Just when you think like, okay, that's as much as you can go, they develop him even further in Revelations, which again, beautifully done. Masterpieces. You can still follow the story. It's not that. I mean, it starts getting a little more complicated. But you can still follow it where you're barely reaching that kind of like outlandish kind of zone of like, all right, put the brakes.
I was just saying, insert picture of aliens.
Yes.
Because that's where it went.
Yeah.
But I was gonna.
That's the part even watching that because it's just like any movie where it's like, oh, and aliens are now in it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's
like roll your eyes. Like,
exactly.
Okay, so here's where I'm thinking. I'm thinking 1, 2, 2.5 masterpieces. I think Revelations could have been a DLC. Didn't have to be a fully fledged game. It could have just been a DLC.
Yeah.
And then
was Revelations coming out when DLC was a big thing? Because I know DLC just it's a huge money grab now, and that's the only reason it's around. But it didn't really become like a big thing until
I don't know.
I didn't think it needed to be a fully fleshed game. That could have been an easy DLC for them. And then 3, let's just say not America or something else.
Again, I
know you're driving.
It could
this
be
point
any.
home, but
It could have
still,
been any period. It's just the game mechanics that they had established. If the American scenery that they had put in Assassin's Creed 3 was with the same game mechanics and fighting style that people know of today with Valhalla and Origins and the Greek. What is the Greek one called? Is that called mythology or is it Odyssey?
Anthology. It's Odyssey.
Odyssey. That's the one. Because those are the ones that share that same kind of. It's a way more fast pace and it's a lot more open world, not open world, but open like kind of
sandbox.
Field. No, not sandbox. That's the word.
Yeah, open world and sandbox are 2 different type of games.
But that's not what I'm thinking. But like you're not so centered around hiding and going off buildings and stuff. And I mean you can do that in those Assassin's Creed, but it's more geared towards open open field battles.
Well, here's my thing: is that if you were not gonna be an assassin, if you're gonna put yourself in an open world, blah 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 blah,
right?
Change your fighting style.
Yes,
don't make it the same
right
thing. Assassins in Altair's age would have been different than assassins in the colonial era.
Yes. And again, that's because they were limited to the game mechanics and the game fighting style that they had chosen. They should have evolved with it.
Here's the thing. I did not care for 3 because it kept to its core mechanics instead of trying something different.
Right.
If they had tried something different and still failed miserably, I still would have commended them for trying to do something different.
Well, I think the first thing you have to fix is not coming out with a game every year because
they hadn't started that trend yet.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after 3 that they started that trend.
Oh, okay. All right. But that's when it started going downhill, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say at 3 they started going downhill because
I guess Black Flag kind
was
of
after.
Kind of redeemed it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
They're kind of on a slow incline.
And of course, their orchestra, which you could get tickets to every year. I don't know if you guys always saw that.
No, what?
On E3 every year, they're like, oh, and here's the Assassin's Creed Orchestra, which is going on tour this year,
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was a big thing every year in E3.
I didn't know that.
You know what's so funny is that is probably the least memorable thing I remember about that game.
The music?
The music.
Yeah. It sounded like just generic, it would fit the time period kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me ask you guys this. What do you think the biggest difference was with Valhalla? Because I know Valhalla was nominated for Game of the Year. It's got rave reviews. What was
Right.
the difference with
I've
Valhalla
only-
compared to all the other games that came before it?
After 3, I kind of gave up because I didn't want to do the Black Flag and
Yeah.
have like the whole the shipping and all that stuff. Like because everybody raves about the whole like battles at sea and this and that and
Right.
pirate. I
Right.
was like, take it or leave it. That's not
Right.
an assassin.
Right.
An assassin is the person on the land who's stabbing you in the back of the head
Right.
with the freaking hidden blade.
But I think I think it's what he said though. You could pretty much put an assassin in any scenario. You just got to blend the character with the background kind of
Yes.
thing.
I think that was
Like
part
if you
of.
were, if you were to do one like let's say like the 50s like 1950s, you could still do it. Just have him dressed up like a gangster instead of hoodie and like.
But he would have like the Tommy gun and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
combat would have
Yes.
to change.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.
exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly
the other
what I'm
thing
saying.
too, you know what's the game that they will not come out with that I have been waiting for?
Which one?
So do you remember in I think it's Brotherhood?
Uh-huh.
Because you're still Desmond. Future. Let's do Future. Forget the past.
Oh, instead of just keep going back to the Animus and checking out the past.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because remember the whole thing with
Yeah.
Desmond that they were building up to, which is such a shame that they killed him. And I know I keep driving that. Is they had segments where he
saw-
was in the future. He was in the future being an assassin, and that shit was way cool. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Put me in New York. Put me in a metropolis.
Right.
Put me in some big city.
Right.
And I will be the human fly on that shit, just running
Right.
across buildings and just
that
stabbing
actually
motherfuckers.
sounds like a great idea.
See,
Yeah.
get
But they're not going to do it because they're making so much
do
money
you
off
think-
the past.
Do you think
Exactly,
that maybe
exactly.
It was because to me the one thing that did always stand out to Assassin's Creed was the fact that you could change the time period every game, that you're not going to be playing the same time period.
Well,
Do
you
think
kind of
that-
did for Ezio. You had 3 games
Do you
in
think
Italy.
them not doing the future was just a limit? They were just limited at the time of what they could do as far as the technology we had and the
I think-
graphics and stuff.
yes and no.
I think they had to bail on that whole idea when they killed Desmond. Because now there's no more
If there's one thing I learned from
future to lock
if
on
there's
to.
one thing I learned from playing video games, it's the main character's never actually dead.
But he's not even dead. If you
No,
see,
he died, remember?
Yes, he did.
What's her-
but
what's her
in,
name?
Val, in
Took his
Valhalla,
life or
in
whatever?
Valhalla, they show that he's actually been stuck in the digital world.
Oh, are they
The-
doing one of those?
Digimon.
Yeah.
Digimon.
Yes, I know you're gonna go. I knew it. I
Sorry.
knew it.
He's in the digital world. I'm just
So his brain is trapped in the
Exactly,
digital
like
world?
kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's trying to help find solutions to save the world.
yeah.
It's dumb. See,
Yeah, just get me a second cousin or something.
and that was dumb. And see, that's the biggest thing that I have a flaw of the ones after happened with Assassin's Creed 3, because Desmond dying was supposed to be him sacrificing himself to save the
To
world.
save the world.
But the world still isn't saved, so
No.
it's
It was
dumb.
pointless.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
It was pointless.
It
He's dead.
renders his story arc completely none.
Yeah, it totally killed the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you're right though. They could have just brought like a second cousin or
Yeah.
an illegitimate son that he had from knocking up a
Right.
stripper.
Mhm.
Although
Hey.
to be fair, the small moments we interacted with Desmond, he did not get his booty on. Let's just put it that way.
No, I'm confused. What do you mean? Oh, that's right. I get it. He didn't get it. He
Let's
never
just-
got it on.
let's just
He never got
say
it on.
He did not call the sex lines.
He did not he
did not go
he
on
didn't,
the
he
cam.
did not visit the webcam girls. He didn't listen to ASMR videos, and that's how we tie it all back around.
Yeah.
Boom.
Woo! Woo! I think we call it an episode now.
Yeah. Okay. Before we continue critiquing the whole thing, I'm gonna offer my solution of what they should have done.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay.
Future Desmond.
No, they do. They go.
I'm sorry,
they do what
pardon me.
everybody else does. Just bring back evil.
No. I don't even think that. It was very simple. And honestly,
Don't give me
following
that look.
the storyline
No,
that
you-
they were
you
doing.
Like when I said that, you're like,
No, I was actually looking outside.
oh, okay.
Anyway,
The cat passing by.
Basically, still following the same storyline that they had set up with Ezio and Altair. Pretty much the same thing is that these pieces, if you know, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they have pieces of Eden which were made by the aliens, which
had
which
pieces of
pretty much look like
I think from what I understood, they also had pieces of Adam.
they're pieces of Eden.
No,
but it
no,
originally
it was
just
just
started.
Eden, okay.
But it originally started with just the apple of Eden, and that there was multiple apples of Edens. That was the first
It
one.
was not just the apple. It was also the Pope's staff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They started introducing different objects instead of just an apple. When in
Right.
the original one, you can tell that they were very implying that it was just different apples.
By the way,
Yes.
never played this game, but the fact that you can beat up the Pope in this game, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, he ends up being the bad guy, so
Yes.
yeah.
But
10 out of 10.
oh my god.
I was gonna say, did you ever bother with like the extra stuff? Like, as going with the whole aliens thing? Did you ever bother with like the finding the source code and like
Oh, yeah.
doing all the puzzles, like the extra puzzles?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
to me, that made the game more exciting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
But that just gave details into kind of like going back into thinking. Now I'm okay with the alien story. This is
I was fully vested. Trust me.
Yes.
I was one of the people who was just like, yes, give me aliens. I want to see aliens. I want to see future
Right.
tech. I want to see future
yes.
Desmond killing aliens with his.
okay. Wait, no,
assassin.
see, that's where I have a problem.
Well,
That's where I have a
see-
problem. I'll tell you what the problem was. I'm okay with the aliens being precursors, which basically look like humans, and then from those aliens came some humans, and they revolted. Which I'm okay with. Like, I get it. They were enslaved, whatever. I get that story. And I'm also agreeing with the fact that they were like, oh, well, they got killed off because of,
COVID.
not COVID, but because of the big disaster, which pretty much was like earthquakes and eruptions and whatever from volcanoes.
No. But name one franchise that
Didn't
had an
benefit from
alien.
aliens?
That aliens were involved in. It's like, oh my god, this is so much better. No,
Mm-hmm.
there is none.
This, okay,
You mean other than the franchise Alien?
But that's kind of in the name. I mean, just randomly throwing in aliens later on.
okay, this was my main problem with the alien part, was that they made him have such a profound effect on the present. As in, they started, and especially Valhalla, they really dive into it, is that these aliens were able to transfer their consciousness, maybe not 100% or even parts of their DNA, into future humans, basically like reincarnation, or at least some
Oh,
form
God.
of
What did they
reincarnation.
call- what
Like,
did-
that's too much.
What did they call that? No. There's a thing. It's called
Reincarnation, no.
No, not reincarnation. It's like migratory history or something like that. It's a thing where
Right.
humans and animals, not aliens, but animals, through a series of breeding, they explained it in like the first game, where it's just like that's how they're able to find the Altair's history.
Right. See, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with Altair coming out. Like, let's say I'm Desmond.
Okay.
And Altair is my ancestor. Altair doesn't come out of me out of nowhere. Like, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! How the
Although
Pharaoh
that
would
would-
come out
although-
with the stupid puzzle.
Although
right?
to be fair, that would have been cool. Like eventually, well,
But
here's
see,
the
that's
thing.
that's too convoluted.
No. But here's the thing, though, is that that's what they were hinting at. See, Desmond had so much potential because the thing is that eventually you were going to be a future assassin because Desmond himself was not an assassin. But because he kept going into the Animus
Right.
and merging his personality with the other personalities of his past, that's what was making
I
him
don't
a
see.
future assassin.
I don't think he was merging his personality. I think he was learning from them because their memories are in his DNA.
You know,
Is that what you meant?
that's what I meant.
Okay, see, that- I'm perfectly-
potato.
No, not potato because this is the point I'm trying to make. It's like, yes, that's fine. Like, and of course he's gonna learn. He's gonna learn and pick up some habits because he's reliving those memories from his ancestors. My problem is that with the new Valhalla, I mean, apparently it's been happening this whole time, but they really explain it, was that these people can be reincarnated and some of their, like, the past persons, well, in this case it was the aliens, not just memories, but like their personality comes out and their consciousness comes out. That's where I have the problem. Like, it has too much effect on the present. It would have been just fine if they kept with how the original story was going, was that when the world, it clearly didn't end because there's still that, but it wiped out a significant amount of people, not all the humans, but it wiped out all those aliens, and that it happens in cycle, was that these aliens can give off clues and hints and kind of helping them be like, okay, this is what we tried, it didn't work, or we were going to try this, but we never got to try it and it would work, which was what happened with Desmond. Is like, oh, well, I mean, they didn't really explain it, but basically his sacrifice would end the world, whatever he had to do, which I'm okay with.
Well,
and
he had to stop like the sun from exploding.
something like something like
that.
some sort of solar flare, whatever. That's
Yeah.
a detail, but the point was what he would do would save the world with his sacrifice, which I'm okay with then and there. But what ended up happening was, after he did that, it didn't end up ultimately saving the world, and then it also like let one of the aliens from the past, like her consciousness, come back into like the internet, which was just fucking weird.
Well, here's the thing. Let's just say that Ubisoft just shared their hand too early. Take the Desmond storyline, make his sacrifice the last game, and then put all the other games behind that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
because you still have Desmond.
Yes.
He's still the
Yes.
line towing all the.
Yes, he's the one
ancestry.
putting all together. Yes, yes.
And then the final game is Future Assassin has the sacrifice, saves the world.
Yes, I'm okay with that. And I think so that's the solution.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Either ending it right there with Desmond or having it at the very end. I like it.
His
I
death,
like
his
it.
death was just. I don't
Meaningless.
I don't disagree with his death. It came too soon.
Yes.
If it was the final game and he died,
So-
I'd be like, yeah. It's like Neo at the end of Matrix.
So I think one thing is that you can't really take away the success that Valhalla had. So how does Valhalla now add into this new?
At the end,
Well, because
Valhalla.
they're still like
How does this now play into your new Assassin's Creed timeline?
see, I don't think, based on what
I don't think you could take that out, basically, because it was actually the first really good game that they've come out with.
No, they said
It's-
they
it's
said
a
it was
lot
going
of
up
backpedaling.
since Origins.
Yeah.
Since Origins was coming, they said it was starting to go back on the rise because
Yeah.
that's when they changed
But this
a
is the
lot of
first-
the game mechanics and the fighting
but it's
style.
the first time, because before Valhalla came out, it was just, there's another Assassin's Creed game. It's kind of just like, here's another Assassin's Creed game. It wasn't a big deal, but Valhalla's the first time it's been treated as a
big
contender, as an actual big deal. Where I'm not saying the other games were bad. It was escalating, but for most people like myself, it was just like, it's just another Assassin's Creed game.
Right.
And that's how I fixed it. Is that if you have Desmond's death at the end, you could have had all these games. And
Yeah, true.
Valhalla could have been Game of the Year. It didn't matter, as long as Desmond was still alive.
So you think the way to save all this is just keeping Desmond alive to begin with?
Pretty
So
much,
Is
yeah.
he showing up in these middle games now?
Well, here's the thing too: is that because if he's still if the canon is he's still alive. You don't need the absurdity of his brain being translated into the internet. You don't need half of the garbage that you're backpedaling. You know what I mean? It's just him. You just put Desmond in a different scenario. He's in a coma. He fell to the Crusaders and they're doing experiments.
Right.
Or it's a second cousin. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell you, illegitimate child he got from knocking up a stripper. Let's do
That
it.
see, I'm okay
I'm
with
just
that
saying
too.
Desmond
Let's give us some
doesn't fuck.
edge. Let's
See,
give us some edge.
in my personal opinion, I think either going with James Way, you literally could have just put the things in the middle, and the story wouldn't be nowhere near as
It wouldn't
annoying.
change a damn
It
thing.
wouldn't be anywhere near as annoying with having to again backpedal
Yeah.
and try to make something make sense. They could just stick with the same thing with here are the different clues of how we can save our Earth, as from letting the cycle happen again and pretty much a mass extinction again.
I think what happened is that there's an end game here. Here's the story. And they went, cool. But then somebody upstairs went, I'm running out of cocaine, therefore I need more money.
Why is there always cocaine? Also, make cocaine cool again, guys.
Cocaine is expensive, that's why.
Exactly. And so after he snorted through his mountain of cocaine, he went, guys, I got an idea. Now follow me on this. How about we make Assassin's Creed without Desmond? And there was probably one dude in the boardroom who went, that doesn't make sense. And then they shot him and threw him out a window.
Wait. So so he was dead when he got thrown out the window already.
No, he was alive. That's
Or
the
was he
worst
ble- he was
part.
just bleeding out?
That's the worst part. He was bleeding out. They could have
Okay.
gladly taken him to the hospital.
Okay. When I say I shot somebody, does that imply I went for a headshot? I could have shot you in the foot.
I don't
Yes.
know.
You could give a warning shot and just shove him in the foot.
Yeah. Or he tripped on his own guts and fell out the window. I mean, there's so many
But
answers.
you said he got thrown out the window.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I was saying. He tripped on his guts and fell out the
I
window.
don't want to be part of that meeting. Anyways.
Or how I was saying, sorry, we're gonna go back.
Yeah.
Or if we ended it just how I said it, we just end it right after the Ezio storyline,
Yeah.
where he finds out enough information to where he can sacrifice himself to save the world. Just end it there, and then
I feel like we're doing the series justice by trying to fix it because, like I said, if Ezio okay, so here's my thing: if you end it at the Ezio trilogy, I feel like that's not enough game because the Ezio story doesn't end with Desmond. So you're kind of like, okay, well, what happened to Desmond?
right.
That's what I'm saying. You need. That's why he was so crucial. They hinged so much on him.
Yes, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Which is this okay? So again, if we were to end it right when I say we end it, you could keep Assassin's Creed 3. You just introduce the game mechanics of today's Assassin's Creed, what they introduced in Odyssey,
Right.
Origins, and Valhalla, because it's more open field battle friendly.
Yeah.
Would do just fine. You keep that same story where Desmond finds out how to save the world. He does it, and then you can end it there. And then and again, because of how much success it's been going up since Odyssey with their new play style, you just reboot the fucking series.
Well, here's my other thing too: is that it's like how do I phrase this? How far do you go before you're not just an assassin anymore? You know what I mean?
No.
Like if it's open battle friendly and this and that, it's like, okay, well, what makes him an assassin? I don't know. He poisons the food trough. You know what I mean? Like they never augmented how you were supposed to be an assassin. They did the one thing in Brotherhood where you got to glide and drop bombs and stuff.
Yeah, that was
like,
cool. I remember that.
That's what I was saying. But other than that, like I said, like, okay, I accept that, yes, a concept can be anywhere, anytime. But if you're in open world combat, you're just a fighter at that point. You're not an assassin. An assassin works in the shadows, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So, okay, change it up. He's the first guy to invent grenades. He's the first guy to create mushroom clouds.
Right.
And that's what makes him an assassin.
Right.
Just in an open world
Right.
aspect.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could have done a different timeline. I think it would have been nice having just one game where the timeline was actually closer to the present day.
Right.
That way you get more modern information on how things led up to Assassin's Creed 1 as far as like the modern day goes. That, like you could have done something like where it's in the 80s, you could have done something where the 50s, the 20s, like the big eras like in the 1900s.
And the 80s was such a huge hit. Remember like how everybody was like, let's go back to the 80s, like 80s parties was a thing and this, that, and the third.
Because you don't necessarily don't necessarily have to have the hood and stuff. I mean, you could kind of get away with it a little bit, but you could just adopt the style of the era you're in, and have an assassin in that era.
And that's what I liked about when you would play as Desmond, because you didn't have the hood, but you had a hoodie. And it was the same color, and you would wear it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's subtle ways to do it. And it would be cool, like if you were a 1950s gangster, you know, wearing a white hat
I'd be
as
cool with
opposed to
that.
a hood.
Yeah.
You know?
Like noir times. The only other thing I will say is that I hate he sacrifices himself to
Save the world.
save the world ending, because I feel like that just is done a lot. One thing I did see while watching the Valhalla thing was the chick has to we had to live was a billion lives or something to solve how to end the world. I think I would have preferred that, where Desmond just has to live all these different lives, and then you don't actually have to watch him living all these lives, but you eventually find
the solution.
Do a fast forward,
Yeah.
5 years later, where he finally comes back after living all
Yeah,
those
that
lives.
works too.
I was
Yeah,
going
that
to
works
say,
too.
too, here's the other thing, too. If you keep Desmond alive, he lives the million lives that he's supposed to live, right? So at the end of the game, he kills himself. I think he would do it willingly, because after you lived 1,000 lives,
People are gonna hate that.
you would be like, yeah, just take my life. I'm done.
People are gonna hate that ending.
No, I like it's rather he goes into the digital. I keep saying digital world. I'm sure.
Digimon, digital
Stop.
Digimon are the
And
children.
anyways, I mean that could be one way to finish it. The point was what made it bad was that they stretched it out way too long, had way too much content to where they shot themselves in the foot and made way too many plot holes.
Like I said, like
It's
three felt like somebody was trying to finish it, and then somebody upstairs did way too much cocaine and said, we can still squeeze money out of this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's every.
Yeah.
But I think we've come up with a somewhat solid solution
Yeah.
to how things could have changed. It's not like a big
My
change.
idea was the best.
Also, but they could have used a little more sex work in these games.
Jesus.
I'm just saying ASMR, bros. ASMR.
Well, now that we're done with that, we have a little extra time. I'm gonna fix Death Stranding, and here's how you fix Death Stranding.
What's
Make
Death
it Silent
Stranding?
Hill like it was supposed to be.
What's
And
Death
that's it for that
Stranding?
episode.
What's Death Stranding?
You know Death Stranding?
You haven't seen
No.
it? It's
No,
the
I
walking
haven't.
simulator.
It's the
The walking simulator?
Yeah, you're a delivery
you're
man.
a UPS man in the future, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With Norman Reedus. We'll explain that to you off.
All right.
It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus.
All right. This is weird. That was weird, but I have been Jose.
I've been Jermaine.
And I have been always the best, James.
Yes. Okay. No, I beg to differ. I think me and you are tied for J1 and 2
J1.
right now. J1.
I'm only going to
One,
give
two.
it to, I would say this as a tiebreaker.
Uh-huh.
I would only give it to James because I hated he sacrificed himself at the end ending because I was like,
That's what actually happened.
But that's what happened.
I know.
That's
But
what
no,
actually happened.
But you know what's even worse is that his sacrifice meant nothing.
No, but I was like, but even in your ending, it just like how it ends the whole series.
Right.
Like he just sacrifices himself. I'm like, I just rolled my eyes a little bit. Like, come on.
It was very-
Let's be
it
a
was-
little more creative.
I'm just
So,
saying it was
I'm-
very.
So I'm
serious
going to be the
ending.
tiebreaker here and give James the edge.
Whatever. Then I'm J2. You're J3.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to us for as long as we've been rambling on. Hopefully you guys listen to our next one. If you really liked it, I guess sub
What,
and
you gonna say
subscribe.
Smash that
YouTube?
like
subscribe
button?
and like. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what we're putting this podcast on, but whatever. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, hey, and support your local sex workers.
I believe they're called cam girls.